The impact of Hurricane Harvey and Irma on real estate. Joining us right now is the CEO and chairman of Berkshire Hathaway's real estate arm, HomeServices of America, Ron Peltier. Great to see you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, natural disasters, do you see a long-term impact on the housing market?
Well, certainly there's a short-term impact and then clearly a long-term impact. Today, the folks, communities of Houston and throughout Florida are totally distracted by trying to just get back to their lifestyle. But they've got all kinds of problems in terms of infrastructure disruption and destruction of their major asset, their homes. And I think it's still too early to tell how long that's going to impact places like the Keys or South Florida. But it's clearly going to create major disruption in our industry, but frankly, in the economy in those markets for several months.
Now, that's why I asked, because last week we had on Don Peebles, and Don is a real estate developer, and he said Houston will never be the same again. This is a changed city forever, because people have become homeless. They will leave Houston. They will go somewhere else, Dallas, Austin, somewhere, and they will push home prices higher in those areas, and Houston will be stuck. But then again, it's a big corporate city, right? This is
right. Yes.
So tell us.
I don't, I guess lots of opinions. I think at
the end,
you
don't think it'll be changed forever.
So I think
Ron's being polite.
Very politically correct.
Well, they have a major hub, right? So think about their port. They're a big energy-centric city.
Houston's not going away.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I think it's important to note too that the Wall Street Journal actually did a survey of economists last week, and they said the impact is going to shave 0.3% off the GDP next quarter. Just Harvey's impact.
Ron, I do have a question related to these storms and the supply of particularly new homes that are out there. Supply is very tight in major markets across the country, and you have a shortage of construction workers. I think that the number of construction job openings has more than doubled just in the last 5 years or so. So with Florida and Texas, does that siphon construction work away from areas where you really need new home construction?
The truth is there is a shortage of construction workers all over the country, Dagan. And so, yes, I think we got a couple things going on. And that's what I was saying in terms of the short-term destruction. Right. You've got homes that haven't been totally destroyed, but they clearly need to be repaired. And who's going to do that work in a timely fashion? You're in both markets, Harvey and in all of Irma's destruction. You're in warm markets that are causing properties, subject to mold, mildew, lots of things that are not conducive to a healthy house or a healthy hotel or property in general. So you need to have this remediated right away. You need to get in there and clean up the devastation. And with a shortage of workers, I think we're going to be challenged. But I'd like to say, kind of going back, Maria, to your question about will Houston be the same?
Yeah.
When Andrew destroyed, most of South Florida, at least on the East Coast, there are many people believe that it was nature's way of sort of upgrading the entire community, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And Miami came back with a vengeance, along with most of South Florida, and they upgraded the construction on not just on homes but on buildings and hotels and condominiums, and frankly it's a much better community, and it's much stronger.
Right. And I wanted to ask you about that in terms of historical comparisons. What about New Orleans? What can that tell us about rebuilding efforts in South Florida and in Houston?
I think it's the same thing. I think that it's an unfortunate act of God when there's a natural disaster. The fact of the matter is they happen, and the Keys have seen it before, and South Florida has, and they'll see it again. But I think they're a resilient group, and they'll rebuild. But it is going to create a great deal of disruption, and it's going to create some economic pain for a lot of people, particularly homeowners who cannot get the full coverage on the repairs or rebuilding.
Of course. Now, let's talk your news, because HomeServices acquired the Long and Foster companies last week. You say that this deal now makes the largest real estate provider in the country. Your company. Tell us about the acquisition. What does this do in terms of scale?
Well, the Long and Foster company, as many people know, at least within the industry, is the largest single independent real estate enterprise in America. below the Realogy, group and HomeServices America. And there's just not many of these large companies with great brand value in a very, very strong market. They're clearly the dominant player in the Washington Metroplex and inside the Beltway, but clearly throughout Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland. This is a big company, and it is a very, very respected company, 50 years old. And it was a great opportunity for HomeServices to build on our strategy of being a major provider of homeownership services in key markets across the country. If you're going to be a serious player on a national scale, you want to be in the Mid-Atlantic, and you want to be in the in the markets that are represented by Long & Foster.
So before you go, characterize the real estate market for us right now.
So I think about it as kind of a Goldilocks market. I think on par, we're having a normal year. We're going to be up in units without totally being able to ascertain the impact of Harvey or Irma, but we'll probably be up 1 or 2% on sales units. Prices are up 5 or 6%. But I think the mix of business, and I characterize it as a Goldilocks market because we have, at the lower end of the price market, gone in 60 seconds with multiple offers and above listing price.
Wow.
At the higher end of the market, it's sitting, and one has to just wonder whether or not, temperament has changed after the Great Recession, and that feelings have maybe altered a bit about, first of all, housing.
Valuations.
Housing doesn't always go up,
yeah.
And is it the best of wisdom to put, all your assets in the biggest and most expensive home? Maybe not.
All right. Well, we will leave it there on the maybe not. Ron, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for joining us. Ron Peltier joining us there.